there are activities that step beyond legitimate protest, and clearly disrupting other people's private business would definitely be one of those.
6 pro-Palestinian activists have been arrested on suspicion of plotting to disrupt the London Stock Exchange. The Metropolitan Police said the members of Palestine Action were planning to lock on to the doors this morning to stop the building opening for trading. Were these arrests a result of intensive undercover police work? No, the Met were tipped off by the Daily Express. We're joined by Nick Aldworth, former National Coordinator for Counter-Terrorism and Director of Counter-Terrorism at Carlisle Support Services. Morning to you, Nick.
Morning.
And what's the distinction between something that might get terrorist cops interested and what otherwise might be considered as just a protest?
Ideology, usually, and it's terrorism is a very specific definition around violence, threats of violence, and intimidation to pursue an ideological aim. Protest is obviously very different in as much as, yes, quite often they are pursuing an ideological thought, but without those threats of violence.
But locking on, is that considered violent in some form of?
No, locking on is now covered by the 2023 Public Order Act. It's a specific offence of actually, doing that, having the equipment to do that, and going equipped to do that. But what the Met Police seem to have done is taken a preemptive approach to this, and possibly, and clearly, these matters are now with the police, but possibly pursuing a conspiracy charge.
Yeah, interesting. It's interesting that they changed the Public Order Act to protect specific critical national infrastructure. But that didn't include financial institutions like the Stock Exchange, the Bank of England. Do you think that's a mistake? Do you think actually our financial structures are as significant in some ways to our other structures and maybe should be protected?
Yeah, definitely. I heard a statistic once that Canary Wharf generates 2% of our GDP of itself. That's that relatively small, compact area, and that's an incredible figure. And places like that really do need to be looked after. So yeah, 100%. When you look at the Act now, it's things like railways, roads, and that sort of infrastructure. But certainly, from a terrorism perspective, we looked at a much broader definition of critical national infrastructure, including power stations and the such like. So yeah, financial institutions, particularly at times when the country needs its finances to be in order, very much we should be thinking about protecting those.
And just finally, do you think we have the balance right between allowing people, because people must be allowed to protest. If you want to be pro-Palestinian, that's not an illegal position. The Palestinian cause is not prescribed. I mean, Hamas is a prescribed organization, but a Palestinian cause is not. People must be allowed to protest in a free society. Do you think we have the balance right between freedom and laws restricting it?
Well, look, I think it speaks for itself. Most weekends, we're now seeing tens of thousands of people. Some of the biggest protests we've seen in London, being allowed to march freely through London with a little bit of prescription around it in terms of what route you should take. I can't think of any greater demonstration of democracy than that. But I think there are activities that step beyond legitimate protest, and clearly disrupting other people's private business would definitely be one of those.
Nick, good to speak to you. Thank you for joining us.